I remember talking to Matthew Gregory one time. He's like, when I started flipping, like I would flip a house and not expect it to go under contract for 2 or 3 months.
It's difficult, to talk these sellers into like, I know you bought this house for this X amount of dollars, but it's just not, it's not going to sell for that now, or it's not going to be as much appreciation as you were hoping.
All right. Well, welcome to the Beyond Wealth podcast for the Birmingham market update, the first one of 2025.
Oh,
Mandy
wow.
Williams.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we talked about you coming in last month. We were kind of working on a potential, off-market deal. You sent me something that was a great opportunity, but man, it was not cheap. And I was like, that's a little outside of what I want to be buying right now.
Yeah.
And you said it like lit up. Like you had, how many offers did you end up having on that? It was in Vestavia, right?
Yeah, it was a home that needed to be flipped in Vestavia. We ended up with 5 or 6 offers, I would say.
That's great.
That deal kind of blew up, though, unfortunately. I don't know if you knew that update or not, but my seller, so this happens sometimes, but she kind of lost her mind and decided after we had signed off-market listing agreement and for a certain price, it was actually a $50,000 range of price, and we were at the very upper end of that range, and I got her several offers that were over the highest price we had listed, and she decided she wanted more for it, and we ended up having to go our separate ways on that.
That's
and
a bummer.
So, but it's okay. It happens.
I think all that to say, yes, every story of property has it. But to have something off market where you're very knowledgeable, a lot of really great flippers, none as good as me, obviously.
Of course.
Just joking. But to get 6 offers, I mean that shows you the health of Vestavia and the desire and all that kind of stuff. And then you priced it right, and well, that's a bummer that it fell through. But
yeah.
Life goes on.
I think she's going to end up listing it on the market as like an as-is deal. She may do a little bit as far as repairs go to the property before they list it. I don't think that's the best strategy because I am all about either flip it or don't.
Yeah.
Either sell it as is or fully flip it. Don't try to patch up a few things because you just don't usually see the money come back that way as a seller. So
no, when I flip my properties too, like every once in a while I'm like, what if I cut this corner? It would save, X amount of dollars, and I'm like, it's not gonna, because I see those people that do cut the corners on flips and then it ends up staying on market. They don't get top dollar. But the ones who really know what they're doing, which there's a lot of people who are way ahead of me in this process, they flip it right and they get premium dollar for it, because I think so few people do it because they don't want to risk it. And they don't believe in themselves, to be honest. Like, it's like, if you believe in your product and your quality, then it's going to sell.
Yeah.
So.
And it's all about that pricing. If you price it too high, you can almost guarantee you're not going to get any offers or showings even.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you price it where you're almost uncomfortable, that's when you will get over asking. So that is always my strategy.
Just the way it goes. Well, let's dive into the numbers for the market of January. And obviously, we were talking about this, offline as we were looking at the numbers and processing. I think the overarching thing to put a asterisk or a caveat to this would be that January is not the greatest time to gauge the market in Birmingham. It's just, there's not enough data, there's not enough movement, there's not enough things to even project. And typically when I see trends, there are some very odd numbers, and that's why I say that kind of as a caveat. But in that, it's like you have to really see data come in for 2 or 3 months to say, oh, this is a trend moving in this direction. So we're going to see some kind of crazy numbers, and some of it's explainable, some of it's not explainable. But that's just kind of a caveat to this whole discussion is don't base your investing in 2025 on this. Well, Todd put out the numbers for January, and that's where we're going.
Yeah, we definitely need a few more months to get our bearings about us.
Yeah, but in general, I think, you have some current listings. I have some current listings, and we are seeing that there is, and you'll see it in some of the numbers, there is a little bit of a slowdown of the market. And I think it'll come back. I think it's, it's just taken a little bit longer to heat up. I think there was an expectation of percentage rates being lower, and they are not right now. And so because of that, there's still a lot of people kind of hemming and hawing about what they want to do this spring, instead of like rates and other factors being like, yep, we're going to push towards that. I think the expectation of the presidency, whether you feel one way or the other, there was an expectation that once we got a clarification on who our president was going to be for the next 4 years, it would bring some resolve in the markets to know, okay, this is what's happening, and that would help. And that so far has not done what people thought it would do. So,
yeah.
All right, so let's talk through. Listed in 2024 was 11,103, and in 2025 we're at 12,702, which is a 14.4% increase. A significant amount of surplus of supply.
Yeah.
On market.
Crazy. Lots of stuff available.
Yeah. So are you working with any buyers right now, looking in any of these markets and seeing the quality of that 14% surplus?
I work with probably 10% or less buyers of my overall business.
Right.
So I don't really have a whole lot of buyers at the moment. So I can't really speak on that. I'm heavy listing side.
On the listing side, when you're talking with clients and bringing them to market, are they preparing them, doing everything they possibly can, or are they just kind of like, we're going to throw it out there and see what happens, and not because you're a great realtor, but
well,
just because you suggest the sidewalk gets pressure, that the pressure gets sidewalk, doesn't mean they're going to do it.
No,
you know what I mean, or clean the back deck or whatever it is to say, hey, let's spruce up this place. So are people making those choices with your listings?
I think the economy as a whole plays into that. And I know that technically our economy is still strong, but there's a lot going on in our economy right now. And I think there's a lot of hesitation about purchases and just spending money in general. I know the price of eggs has been a hot topic lately that we cannot stop hearing about. And everyone's saying, we're going to paint potatoes this year instead of Easter eggs when Easter rolls around, because
I didn't think about that with Easter.
Yeah. So,
it's like there's $2 and there's $3.
Right. I mean, I know I do a lot of shopping at Aldi. I'm pretty, thrifty, and gosh, they were almost $6 for a dozen. I have a 15-year-old son who loves eggs, so that's been a big
growing boy,
big thing at our house. But so that affects everyone, and I think spending that extra money, whether I'm dealing with a seller who's an investor or a seller who's a market, they live in that house.
Right.
I think people are just still a little more hesitant to spend money because money is a little tighter for most people right now. So I am having a little bit of a hard time talking people into doing the extra stuff like staging or doing that extra pressure washing that really helps put that little finesse on the houses that makes it sell quicker.
Helps it sell. All right, so solds in 2024 was 5,468, and 2025 it was 50504. So we're at like a 6.66% increase. So not even a percentage increase. Now, I did pull up December's numbers. There was an 11%, which December is a great closing month. People are kind of end of the year. They're wrapping up. They're like, need to get a house ready for the next year. So that was at 12% increase in closings. But this month, we're almost, I wouldn't even call it we're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Not even 0.5%. So that's interesting to me. Surplus of supply, low on closings. And then, I typically go to medium sales price, but I'm going to say average, and then I'm going to say medium because there's a discrepancy. So average sales price, we are at 5.13% increase. And that's kind of what we say our appreciation number is somewhere of the medium sales price, which is only 1.41. And I often go more to medium because it's a better gauge. There's less variables. And so that's really not as much as I'd like to see. You know, I think the average sales price, you could look at that and say, oh, we're at 5% appreciation, we're great. But trending wise, I think we're kind of in the appreciation up between 2 and 3% year over year the last 6 months. It really hasn't, I haven't seen huge spikes in the medium sales price. So I think that comes down to like just kind of going back to the price point, rates, motivation of buyers. It's just people are still needing to move. People are still realizing that you're probably not going to ever see 2-3% in your lifetime on a 30-year mortgage. But there's still a hesitancy. There's still a little bit of a slowness in the market.
For sure. I definitely think that all plays a huge role in what we're talking about here. Sorry, I've kind of lost my train of thought.
No, I mean, I agree. It's the pathway of like the numbers tell us what we feel. Yeah. Which is, you know, I would say even when rates were still higher, but we were kind of post-COVID, people were still like the supply wasn't up. Yeah. You know, we were still seeing houses that were priced well go under contract first weekend if they were priced well and if they were in very like high demand areas. And now we're seeing, like, I was in a meeting with a bunch of agents the other day, kind of a mastermind group, and they were saying that, like, they've had houses, days on market, 60 plus days, where you would think we need a price reduction, but they priced it right. Yep. And then it finally went under contract at list price. But it took 2 months to get there. Yeah. And, you know, I remember talking to Matthew Gregory one time. He's like, when I started flipping, like, I would flip a house and not expect it to go under contract for 2 or 3 months.
Which is crazy for us.
And I think, yeah, it's like, yeah, for right now even, like, even with rates where they're at and all that, it's like, if I don't have an offer within the first month, I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world? I got to reduce price. I got to market different. I got to figure it out. And it's a little bit of a reset of like, every house is not going to go under contract first weekend when rates were 3%, because that's what was happening. It's so extreme.
Yes. I don't know when you got your real estate license. I was born in late 2019, and so I came in right before all the craziness. Yeah. And so that has, you know, that's the way I was raised in real estate. Yeah. You know, if you are not under contract that first weekend, you're doing something's wrong. Yeah. And, you know, we need to seriously consider a price change. And that has always been the strategy, is change that price. But I totally agree with what you're saying, that may not be the strategy anymore. I have a listing right now of a condo that I sold to the investor as a flip, and he went through and flipped it very quickly. I think it was 4 weeks, and I don't think he would mind me saying it's actually Matthew Gregory's. Yeah. So we've been sitting on the market for, I think, going on 2 months on this condo, and you know, we've assessed it several times. The price, it's priced right. Yeah. You know, it's just sitting, and it's just one of those things where we're just waiting on the right buyer to come along.
Yeah, someone who's like, I want to live in this condo, and that for that specific pocket, there just needs to be the right person, and that may be someone whose timing lines up in March, hopefully for Matthew.
Yes, and one great thing, we do have match day coming up for all the medical residents, and I think this property would be really appealing to a lot of residents. So just because it's fresh and clean, it's very local to UAB. You know, it's a good property for someone looking for that. So,
yeah. No, I think that's really good. So let's keep diving in. This is great feedback and great thoughts. Going back to a little bit of the slowness of market, list to sales price basically is a negative 0.5%. Mm-hmm. So and that goes back to the demand, where people are conceding a little bit more on price. You know, I did not accept an offer. I got an offer. So I posted one of my properties actually to get sold. This last weekend had 4 showings, which is not, I like 12, I like 20, but you know, 4 is not bad. And had one offer, which I was excited about too. Right. But it was they came in at full ask, but they asked for $8,000 in closing, which, you know, I think is is a decent offer, but it's first weekend.
Yeah.
But to me, that tells me that buyer has been making those offers and pretty comfortable with that and probably getting some traction, or they wouldn't even made that offer, right? And they probably have at least had conversations of like, you're in the mix, and they're like, oh, okay, I can be in the mix if I make this type of offer. And so I think we are seeing that people are not necessarily conceding a ton, but they're also not jacking up the price. And I feel like that also says agents are pricing about where it needs to be. We're not seeing huge swings one way or the other.
We went through a long phase, since all of the super low rates and, all the houses that were bought in 2020 and 2021, maybe even into 2022 some, they were bought at too high of prices, a lot of them, and I think a lot of people are getting to the point now where they're realizing like, oh, now we want to sell this house and it's not quite.
It hasn't appreciated. Yeah, like they thought it would.
So that's, really hard for the sellers, and that's been a tough position to put a lot of agents, especially myself, like I said, I'm heavy in the listing area, and it's difficult, to talk these sellers into like, I know you bought this house for this X amount of dollars, but it's just not, it's not going to sell for that now, or it's not going to be as much appreciation as you were hoping.
Yeah, so I would say that in good pockets, you're probably still getting a decent price, but you're not seeing like, hand over fist. And then once you pay closing costs and commissions and all that, you could be almost at the same price, especially if you only held it for a couple of years, know. So going back to market, a little bit of market slowness, average days on market is up 16%.
Not surprising.
And the medium is up 25. So, like I said, overall, none of these numbers are concerning. January is not a great gauge. I think February and March will be, we'll know by, the episode will hopefully come out in April, kind of know what the spring looked like. And that will be a good gauge of like, oh, we are truly in a slower market, or no, things just took a little bit. There was a lag time. I like to dive into the sub-markets, though, because it's helpful. And that's where the numbers get a little crazy and where it's just like, I'm going to say some stuff and it's like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like, I know a lot, but I don't know that much.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the Mountain Brook, Vestavia, Homewood price point. Listed is up 15%. Wow. Which is not typical for that pocket. Usually the listings they're pretty few and far between. So I'm not sure if there's a lot of transition happening or people needing to downsize. It's really hard to say.
My opinion on that is probably that so many agents like myself were telling people in the fall of last year, let's get through the election, and once that was over in November, everybody had their minds on the holidays. And so I think new listings, that's not surprising to me that happened this year.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's just like, because a lot of people in the price point of salary can wait 6 months.
Right.
They can, even if they don't have to live, they could be like, well, rent this other if I have a job that moved me, they probably have enough money to float that mortgage and wait for a better time in market. Yeah,
which is not the case for a lot of markets, but it may be more so in those markets.
Yeah, that's a good observation. We're just summarizing, throwing theories out here. We do a lot of theory on top of the numbers, and this is what I don't 100% understand, and I think we'll have to look at trends. And but a medium sales price is up 34%. There's so few sales that you could have I think I actually saw Feinenbaum bought a mansion.
Oh, I saw that too.
Is like $5 million
so
in
stuff
Mountain
like that
Brook.
Skews the numbers for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Like you could have one of those that just completely, and that could have been that purchase. I don't know, but those swings are so big. But that's what the numbers say. And then the list to sales price is up 3.38%. So it's a strong market, but lots of listings. Yeah. And going back to solds, there's no more solds. It's 43 sold in 2024 and 43 sold in 2025.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. So no increase on solds. But that goes back to literally like you have a market where there's 43 sales. And one of those sales could have been significant. I mean, 2 or 3, and that could have been that 34%. So it's hard to gauge that one completely. Okay, let's move over to Hoover and Trussville. Listings are negative 0.6%. So we have a market where Mountain Brook's up 15, and then going back, what was the overall market is saying 14%. And then you go to a market like Hoover and Trussville, and it's negative. And that's why I think when you talk, to a great agent like yourself or me, when you enlist us to help you either sell or buy, little push there for both of us, right? Like, find a quality agent, like us that really knows their. But you could say like, hey, I'd like to know the numbers for my area.
Yes.
Not just the market in general, and not just like, tell me specifically, because you could be pulling market data or even comps and say, oh, I think we need to be here. But if you don't look at the year-over-year data for that pocket, you could be like, so this would tell me if I'm listing in Hoover, supply is not 14%. It's lower.
Yeah.
And so we can maybe be a little more aggressive on pricing because of that. So solds, though, on the flip side, up 30%.
Interesting.
Yeah. So from 93 to 121. That's crazy. Wow. So we're at a negative on the listings, but we're at a significant positive on the solds.
Well, that's a good thing for Hoover.
That's a great thing
and
for
Trussville.
Hoover. But then you go to, which does not make sense, and that's where I said January is just fluky. Medium sales price is down negative 5.8%.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where diving into it deeper, like I said, you're like looking at timelines and different things. I think there's something to be said for the surplus. If you have low supply in Hoover, I'm just theorizing now, very, very much throwing paint on the wall. But I'm theorizing, okay, if you have low supply and you're running into, because all the January closings really are December and November showings in listings, and maybe even earlier listings. But you're running into kind of the end of stock of the stuff that's kind of left over from the fall rush. And so I could see those dropping price significantly to try to get sold, potentially. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to pull a report that shows that as well, which I know that's a lot
that's
to
where
get
you
into.
really have to dive in. And
Yeah.
and I do that for clients when I'm like,
Sure.
when I have a listing in a specific pocket, I'll put comps, drive. I think driving, this city is so street by street in certain
So
areas. And there's certain things that, from an outside view of like, why does Edgewood garnish a little bit more than the pocket I live? I live in Lakeshore Estates, which is below Edgewood. It's all Homewood.
Yeah.
We all go to the same elementary school.
Yeah.
But Edgewood has this little cute walkability feel that you're going to pay a premium for.
I've been saying for several years that I believe Homewood is the most difficult to comp market in Birmingham. And that, applies to some other areas as well. But I also live in Homewood. I'm on the other side of Lakeshore from you, and up behind the soccer fields.
Oh, yeah. That's a great pocket.
Oh, it's a great pocket, and
they
no one knows
really big
about
lots.
it. Yes.
Really big lots.
It's kind of like Vestavia Homewood.
Yeah,
we
it's
have
great.
the Vestavia Zip over there, which is super weird. It's 35216.
Okay.
Whereas most of Homewood's 35209.
Right.
But yeah, we're still Homewood everything. Schools, police, fire,
That section's zoned for Hall Kent, correct?
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I consider it South Homewood.
Yeah.
Which is not a thing.
But that little pocket's really cool. I had a buddy who lived over there, and then you go on the other side of Columbiana.
Yeah, over
and
Berry.
it's a totally different section. And even within that pocket, there's a little more popular spots than other spots. And you really, like I said, you have to drive it. And so we digress, us Homewoodians, true to it. But yes, there are certain pockets that's just hard to comp. And that's where it goes back to those Hoover numbers, like just low supply, those markets. It could have been just some of the leftovers from some of the pockets that is not as popular.
Yeah.
So we would have to really really dive in, which we don't have time to do in this episode.
No.
But let's move on to Helena, Pelham, and Alabaster. That whole 65 corridor, really popular. I think they all kind of range in the same price point and kind of similar, buyers and sellers kind of in the similar price points. So listings are up 6%, and then solds are up 36.96%. So significant amounts there. And then medium sales price is down 13%. So we're seeing, some really interesting negative in Hoover, negative in Pelham Alabaster. That is just, like I said, I don't really garnish too much weight on these stats for the long term, but those are interesting numbers that we're seeing significant negatives.
I think a lot of it's beginning of the year stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Adamsville, Centerpoint, Roebuck, and Graysville. So we're sitting at negative 5% in listings, positive 3.7% in solds, and then average medium sales prices, again, negative 10%. And so what's going back to it, you see Mountain Brook being at 34%, and then we go into every sub-market on medium sales prices in the negative. And it's like, and then you look at that's why I break down the subs, because I would say overall, Birmingham has a medium sales price that's in the negative this month.
For sure. Mountain Brook is just kind of an outlier.
And it's pulling everything up.
Yeah.
Because the overall was positive 1.68 or something. So, and then medium days on market in every single one of these markets is significantly longer. Yeah. And that goes back to when I was talking with the agent mastermind. It really came down to sometimes it wasn't even a list price change. It was just realigning expectations of days on market and just realizing, like, we're just seeing a slowdown. It's going to take a little bit longer for your buyers to see your property. And that's why I kind of didn't budge on that one offer on my own property. I think it was a decent offer, but I just think the right buyer's probably 2 or 3 weeks out. And I'm in an okay place that I can wait. If it was an 8K, if it was like probably 3K, I probably would have said, okay, but I think there's a little bit of money I'd be leaving on the table. So
for sure. I agree with you there.
So I did want to ask, and we've dived in the numbers. January is obviously a little fluky, which was fun to kind of go on that journey with you.
Crazy.
But you're into the food scene,
yep.
And actually, I think the culinary, I have another podcast with a restaurant owner actually coming out, going to be coming out in a week or so. But I think the culinary scene in Birmingham is just great. And I think it's one of the economic driving forces of our city and just what makes living in Birmingham so great. It's one of the enjoyable things about being here. Talk to me a little bit about some of your favorite places to go, favorite pockets, because I know sometimes good restaurants play off of each other, and just kind of give us an overview of the restaurant scene that you love here in Birmingham.
Yeah, so
little extra tidbit. You came for the stats. You leave with a full belly, hopefully.
For me, it's always real estate and food, so it totally works for me. I totally agree about the Birmingham having a fantastic culinary scene. We do. We make a lot of national headlines about other things that maybe we're not so known for in Alabama and in Birmingham. But, food is one of the things that I am proud to say that we have great food here. We really do. Some of my favorite restaurants, that's a tough one. I think, I always have my go-to top 3 places are Ocean. It is kind of bougie seafood downtown at 5 Points. It's been around forever. I don't know how many years.
Nothing but bougie for you, Mandy.
No, I like it all. So I do love the bougie places. I had dinner at Fleming's last night, for instance, but that wasn't just a regular weeknight dinner. It was a business dinner. So I do the bougie. I love the bougie, but I also love the taco trucks, and I also love, hole in the wall places and a gas station. I love good food. So I'm all about it. But Ocean is probably my number one. There's a lot of people that would challenge me on that and say that automatic seafood that came along in the last couple of years. I also enjoy automatic, but Ocean just holds a special place in my heart. We usually go to the bar. We, sometimes we go for dinner as well. But when we go to the bar, we just grab a couple of glasses of their house Chardonnay, and we get the seafood tower, my husband and I, and we share that. And it is more than enough food for the two of us. We're super into like raw seafood, though. So if you're not into raw seafood, maybe it's not for you. Well, go there, but order something else. They have a great Thai green curry bouillabaisse that's long been one of my favorite dishes there as well. Okay. Other couple of favorite restaurants. I love La Fresca. I think I was telling you before
you mentioned that. I was like, I got to try it out. You mentioned 3 restaurants I have never been to, so I'm definitely going to try them out.
So La Fresca's on 2nd Avenue downtown, a very hip pocket of new restaurants. You mentioned, some of the pockets. That 2nd Ave is very popular. I think there's new Armour House down there. I actually have not been to Armour House yet, but I'm planning to go soon. But La Fresca is an Italian place, and like I said earlier, don't picture like Lady and the Tramp Italian, with the spaghetti, and it's not like that. It's not white tablecloth and opera singing, which is actually part of my background, the opera singing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what
awesome.
My undergrad degree is in, is
very
opera
cool.
performance.
I will make you
please
perform
don't make me sing. No, I've promised I won't do that.
A year gone by, you're like, I'm not warmed up, okay?
I'm not ready for that, but that is not what La Fresca is. I love their pizza. They have some great cocktails. They fly in this special flour for their pizza crust from Italy, and it's just very lightweight and airy, thinner crust, but not crunchy.
Okay.
It's great. The Capricciosa is my favorite pizza there. It has like prosciutto and olives and artichokes, maybe mushrooms as well, and it's fantastic. I love that meal. They also have a lot of great entrees. Then I love a place called Abhi. It's spelled Abhi, and it is in Mountain Brook Village. They have a spinoff as well called Marrow that's nearby. It's a little more casual. Neither one of them are fancy though, but Abhi has some fantastic cocktails and dishes as well. So those are probably my top 3 favorite restaurants.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So if I'm a little bit more like, I want to go all American burgers and shakes.
Oh man,
where are you going?
So have you been to Whiskey Foxtrot?
Yes, I have.
Oh my God, I'm
obsessed.
The
one in Homewood, right?
Yeah, there's one in Homewood. There's one in Hoover.
Okay,
they started in Hoover and came to
Homewood.
That's
right. Yeah. I've been there before, and it was really good.
Yeah,
it was really good.
I love that place.
Had good fries.
Oh my God, their fries are so good. They're the best fries in my opinion. Around.
I think we have a lot of really good burger joints, but there's just sometimes I just like, that's all I crave. I love Hero Donuts burger.
Oh my God, they have an amazing burger. They also have an amazing chicken sandwich.
They do, yes, great. You would think I'm going there for the donuts, and the donuts tempt me as a dessert every time. But really, they just have great. They have a great burger and a great chicken sandwich.
I go for the lunch.
Now, I will say it was interesting. So I kind of know Will through random connections and stuff, and I reached out to him because through the supply chain and different things that happen in the restaurant, one of the pivotal things about the burger is the fact that they make their own buns.
Yep.
And it is the key, one of the key ingredients of what makes it so special. Well, they had some supply stuff, and they had to get away from that bun for a time. And I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, you don't know me super well. We kind of have a random connection, but I'm just letting you know it's really sad, and I'm not going to have that burger until you bring back it. So they brought it back, the bun's back, and it changed it. But it's interesting how little nuances to the care. I think that's what I love about the restaurant scene. You have a lot of restaurant owners who care.
Yeah.
And they're putting all the nuances of these pieces together to make a holistic thing that is just enjoyable for the community. And it keeps the people coming back. And so I would agree with those. That's too. You're making me want to go to Whiskey Foxtrot.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of hungry too. So yeah, maybe on my radar later.
It's like we're cutting this episode short. All right, so I'm going to throw a couple more genres. Mexican food.
Oh,
where are you going?
I usually go to La Paz in
Paz is good.
Crestline Village. Honestly, though, since we lost Superior Grill on 280 and Cocina Superior that was at Brookwood a few years ago. I just never have quite recovered, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So I'm open to new Mexican places as well.
Yeah. Have you been to El Barrio? I'm sure you have.
I have. Oh, yeah. I love El Barrio, too.
It is a slight different take on traditional Mexican. I love it, but it is an adaptation, their version of it.
Yeah, to me, it's in a category of its own.
Yeah,
I don't put it under general Tex-Mex type meals.
No. It's not Tex-Mex.
And then I have another category for like the more authentic Mexican places. I really love La Perla Nayarita. It's in Homewood.
Okay.
It's like up on the hill, kind of by the Office Depot. You know where that is?
Yes, I know where that is. I've never been there. I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's
authentic,
very authentic experience, and it's kind of a Mexican seafood restaurant. I don't ever get the seafood there though. I usually get tacos, but they have some cool stuff, and they actually serve at lunchtime ceviche. It's like their chips and salsa. They bring you like I think it's marlin ceviche, which is really cool. So
that is awesome.
I'm a ceviche fan.
The other day, so there's a couple like Mexican food supermarkets, who have
Pueblo,
Pueblo and stuff. And I went in one the other day and got a pack of like, the Mexican Cokes, all the different things. And my boys have just been loving it. They're like, can we have one tonight? They're trying all the different flavors. And
the real sugar Cokes.
Yeah, the real deal. So they're trying all that, which has been really fun. But I'll have to check that one out. And it is interesting. So did you notice there's the other day on Valley? I think it was Valley. It's by the new Chase. On Green Springs and stuff. There's a restaurant and they had their taco truck set up.
Los Veladores.
Yes, Los Veladores, but they have their buildings being going in. I'm excited about that. It was pretty good.
I love that taco truck. It's one of my favorites. I probably go there once every 2 weeks or so. I'm a little nervous about them moving into a building just because
if it'll change.
I'm nervous about it. I'm not gonna lie. It's
do you lose some of the taste?
I don't know. We'll see.
It'll be interesting.
Hopefully they keep the truck too, so we at least still have that as an option.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if they like move the truck to different locations now and kind of branch out. I'm sure they will.
We've got so many good taco trucks. Anytime I see one, I'm like, skirt.
Try it out. I was flipping the house I'm selling now. When I was flipping it and up there a lot in Gardendale, there was a taco truck that was right off that exit. So after a long day at managing or sometimes working on that project,
right?
I would stop by and buy myself a couple tacos. So
it's the best.
It's one of the things I got to get better at because I'm a little bit of a penny pincher. I like buying things personally, just kind of how I operate. Like I would rather buy something very expensive that I could play with and then sell on the end, like a guitar or something like that. Versus like food for me, I do love food. Probably not as high a priority as yours, but it's like it's there and gone. The experience is like kind of and I'm like I can't do anything with that afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
But every time I do go out in this town and go to a good restaurant, like I thoroughly enjoy it. So, okay. So one last genre, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Asian food.
Oh man, we have so much good Asian food in Birmingham too. There's one thing that we don't have, and I want to start with that. And it is these hand-pulled noodles. I don't know if you've ever had anything like that. No. Anytime we travel to a bigger city, that is the first thing we are Googling when the plane touches down is where do we get hand-pulled noodles.
Interesting.
They're amazing.
So you need to start the restaurant.
Yes. No, we go to Atlanta probably once every 2 months just to eat at this little hole-in-the-wall Chinese place that has the hand-pulled noodles. And we've told them there, like, you need to open one in Birmingham. We will eat there every day.
Yeah.
But they are handmade noodles. They make them. They have a window in all these kitchens where you can see them pulling the noodles, and you can get them cut thicker or smaller. And I don't even know how to really explain them. They're kind of doughy. They're almost like a dumpling, but it's a noodle, and they're so good. They're in soups, or you can get them in a stir-fried dish. So that's something I really want to see.
Has a little bit crispier of a texture than a dumpling because they're thinner and they
like a steamed dumpling.
Okay.
They're chewy and they're dense and they're just delicious. They're the best thing ever. So that's my favorite thing when it comes to Asian food that I've discovered so far.
Okay.
But not here. Sorry. Hopefully we will recruit someone to bring those here. So like Chinese Asian, I love the Great Wall in Homewood. It's been around forever. They have some more authentic dishes. Now, when I'm talking about this, I don't order off like the little lunch menu that comes with the egg roll and the soup for lunch. I get stuff off the authentic menu. And I've had really great experiences, and I've had a few that are weird, so you have to be kind of careful and be open-minded. But there's a spicy fried chicken dish that I absolutely love. It's kind of they have this at both the Red Pearl, which is another one of my favorites, and the Great Wall. Okay. So it's kind of like a tempura battered chicken, and it has all these like peppercorns and things tossed in there, some jalapeno, and it's weird. It's fried chicken, and you eat it with rice, just like plain white rice. But it's good. It's really good. Yeah. They also have like a black bean pork dish that's really good at both of those places. So a new place that I haven't tried yet that I've heard is better than either one of those is called Chengdu. It's Chend. Chengdu. Maybe there's a GD something. Anyway, it's in Hoover off 31. And I actually was talking to a guy yesterday who was Asian, and his parents know Asian food really well. And he said it gets the absolute stamp of approval. So I may go there today, actually. Yeah. Now, they may have beat out Whiskey Foxtrot. But, Abi is obviously one that I've already mentioned that's Asian food. It's kind of Nepalese Thai fusion.
Yeah, a little bit of a different take on all that.
And it's awesome. A little more, modern of a restaurant. Whereas some of these other places, you're not going to have that atmosphere, but the food is amazing. Yeah. So it kind of makes up for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So those are some of my favorites. I also really like, Mazaman Thai in Vestavia. It's just a little walk-in kind of to-go place. You can eat in there, but, it's not fancy either. But they have some good Thai food.
I think I saw you with a post. Yeah, you had a dish recently. And you were,
the chicken lard.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. I was trying to eat low-calorie that day. I do that every now and then.
Love it. You must just be like, this month's budget for going out to eat.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to write all these off on my taxes.
Right, exactly.
It's marketing, totally.
You just say, I'm a food blogger, and then you'll be good to go.
And I really am. That's not untrue.
It's not untrue. So, well, I appreciate the time. Yeah. It's always good to start off the year with such a great guest, and I really enjoyed the food talk afterwards. Yeah. We'll have to both post it on social media, like stats, and also listen to the end for food, because lots of good recommendations. So.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed being here. I'm always down to talk about food and real estate.
Love it. All right. Well, you have a great day.
You too. Thanks.